document.
Yeah.
Shout out Ray, my barber. So I'm going to Sydney on Friday, and
Yeah.
he's normally really busy Thursday, Friday, obviously because people get haircuts before the weekend or whatever. So I messaged him today. I was like, wishful thinking, anything available for tomorrow? He goes, sorry, bro, nothing available for tomorrow, but can you do Friday? I'm like, oh, I'm going to Sydney on Friday. If you've got nothing tomorrow, all good. We'll just push it back. I'll just deal with it for the weekend. It's fine. He goes, don't worry, I'll look after you. And then he messaged me just now, 4 p.m. tomorrow.
What a guy.
God, what a guy. What a guy.
Shout out Ray. Ray?
Shout out Ray. Yeah, Ray. Shout out Ray.
Razor Ray. Get it?
Topical.
Hey, I was good on the puns this week. I'm not usually funny.
Yeah, I know that. Don't worry.
Did you see the humility?
Yeah, humility. That was good with the glasses. Look, you're quite when you're smug, it's very subtle smugness. That was over the top, and I feel like you embraced the character. I liked it a lot.
Thanks.
Well, it's a compliment. It's a compliment.
I know. I'm saying thanks. Like, thank you.
Sorry, let me just respond. Perfect, bro. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Biased Footy Show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. Hey, we're live again. We were not live last week.
No,
we weren't live last week. An interesting evening last week, Ari, wasn't it?
On when we actually filmed, or when we would have been filming.
Well, when we would have been filming, we were at training last week.
We were. That was that turned into an eventful evening relatively quickly, didn't it?
Didn't it just? I want to know who was the eyewitness to Mitch Cleary, because nobody was at training but us, the players, and the VFL players, unless there were people at ground level that we couldn't see.
Yeah, it was there was interesting. Do we have to investigate our peers?
We do. We genuinely do.
Maybe we can ask some questions.
I think we need to ask some questions because there's a snitch, and I think we are closer and closer.
Imagine if it's someone far close to us than what we realize. It wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be, right?
Surely not.
Not gonna lie, I did have a moment where I'm like,
is
Ari in the DMs with Mitch Cleary? Would Ari do that?
Well, shout out Mitch. I have had communication with Mitch before. He's a great guy, and the best in the business, in my opinion. Obviously, Barring's your mate, Tony McClure. Obviously, got to get that out there. Yeah. Shout out tradies. I did say to one of the other people that was there with us on Wednesday night. As a joke, I said, if something happens, do you reckon I could just tweet it, breaking news? And then I unfortunately tempted fate, and what happened on Wednesday, and I was like, oh my god! And then it got out a couple of hours later. So, yeah, there you go. Interesting times. But
amazing.
He played and kicked through and dominated. So
he did. He played well. He played very well. Yeah, that whole thing was very interesting because, like I said, there was us. We had a group of 12 of us, 13 of us.
Yeah, about that. Maybe a dozen.
The players who trained, the coaches who coached, the VFL players who trained afterwards. And it's there was the Puma event.
Yes, very true. It was.
The Puma event. Anyway.
Interesting.
That was then, and this is now. Hey, the baggers, mate.
I know. So, I don't know if she's in the chat. But I still have written down. May 24th.
May 24th. What's May 24th? Remind me.
I got a name for the life of me, but said that May 24th was the day where it turned around or something like that. Empress?
Oh, the explicit Empress?
Yeah. A couple of shows back, she mentioned something about May 24. And I wrote that down, and we are now 10 days away from it. One game, I think, or 2 games removed, and or 2 games until that date, maybe 1 game until that date. And should we win the next 2 games, we will be ahead of the ledger. So maybe that's the
Well, hang on. I'm going to send her a voice message.
I'm like 90% sure she mentioned something about May 24
Okay.
a couple of shows back. And I
Hello.
I had that written down.
Hope you're well. I'm just on the Biased Footy show with Ari, and he's brought up, he wrote the date May 24th, and he mentioned that you were speaking about that being a specific date for a turnaround or something. We're filming live right now. If you can give us some context as to what's happening on the 24th of May again relating to the Blues, that would be great. Ideally while we're live, because then we can just, time it perfectly. Thank you. Bye.
I'm pretty sure it was her anyway. 90% sure it was her. Could be. If it's wrong, then it's wrong, but could be.
She's good. Well,
Cheers.
Wayne, hello to you, mate. Lou Hall, Rocco, Lou again. Lana is here. Hey, this is Lana's week. This is Lana's year. Let it be known.
Good.
When there was one person in Jack Silvani's corner, it was Lana. From day dot, not one time did she ever doubt. Not one time. So I need the records to show.
I respect that. That's commitment.
Yeah. Mason, Alana, Sandra. Wow. It's all happening here. We've got... Do you know we're streaming on Facebook tonight as well?
Wow. What are we in 2016?
Hey. Just, just showing some love to those who are on Facebook. Just trying out something different.
You're the boss.
Anyway, Moody Murad. Hello, mate. Jay. Good evening to you. Eleanor, hello. We have got lots to get through. Lots of talking points, as there always is. How are you feeling overall after last week, mate?
Good. I went to the game by myself.
Really?
Yeah. Because
why?
my brother had an injury at training. He had a fracture in his leg. Not a severe, but just an injury at training on Thursday night. So Dad kind of was like, I'll stay home with him because he obviously is on crutches and couldn't go. Me, as the very caring younger brother, was like, okay, I'll just go to the footy by myself. So I went, sat level 2 behind the goals, and was just in my own thoughts throughout the whole game, and was very pleased to see them get the job done.
Why didn't you message me?
Because I like on the footy by myself. I wanted to. I had a lot of. Don't worry. Like I appreciate, but I had a lot of people reach out. Like once it was made aware to people that I was sitting by myself, I had a lot of people be like, "Oh, come sit with us. Come sit with us." I was like, "No,
fair."
I
I nearly went to the footy on my own. So my brother gave up. He's like, "No, I don't want to come. He had assignments and things to do." But ultimately, I think he was kind of fed up and he's got no patience. And 4 p.m. on the Friday, my sister gave me a call. She's like, "Hey, I don't know if I want to come. Like, it's been a long day. Like, I'm really not in the mood, especially if they lose." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, Chris is cancelled. If, the two of you are going to cancel, then I'm going to go on my own," which is fine. I'd sit on my own with 3 empty seats next to me. And I eventually, wound her up and got her there, and we ended up having a great time. But yeah, man, for a moment there, I genuinely thought if we lose to the Saints tonight, that could be the end of me going to the footy with my siblings.
God, what a grim moment that could have been. That they all jumped off and then we could have lost. But no, it's all right. We got it done. I went to the only other game of football I've gone to by myself. The only other Carl game I've gone to by myself was the Hawthorn game in 2023. The second game after the Gold Coast one. So the game after the Gold Coast one. So the first game after the bye. Yeah. So that was good. And I went to Sydney Richmond last year by myself because I was at the soccer across the road, and the game had finished at Amy, and I was like, "Oh, it's half time, relatively close game. I'll pop in for the second half. Got nothing else to do," and that ended up being under a kick game, and Richmond got up for one of their only few wins of the season last year, which was like good fun. So I've got a good track record of going to games by myself, so maybe I'll do it more often.
I have absolutely no issue going to the footy on my own. I would not bat an eyelid.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I like it. It's good.
If anything, I would be forced to make new friends. It's great.
No, what? Just watch the game. It's not,
no,
it's
but
not
you're
going to be.
Nah, but in between quarters, you have chats. What do you think? What do you reckon? What do you reckon? Fuck, can't believe he missed that target. If only he, like.
Nah, I'm more just watch the game and then you might see my own thoughts.
Okay, mate. AKA on your phone.
Actually, my phone died at halftime, so I had
Really?
the entire second half,
Mm.
including 3/4 time, with no phone.
I like it.
So I was really enjoying the sights and the sounds of the football with no distractions. It was actually very therapeutic. I was actually very very therapeutic. It helped that we won as well.
Yeah. Well, I've got blues.afl on Instagram who has agreed to do the halftime full-time posts, which has just taken so much anxiety off my plate. Yeah, because you got to wait for the photo, you got to find the right one, you got to download it, you got to upload it, you got to caption it. Like, he's just a gem, and he's just taken that away from me for games, and I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Good community helping out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right, now what we're going to do is, first of all, there's a new leader. So we'll get to there in a minute. Now, Ari, where are you in the tips?
And no idea, but
last week? If you look on your phone, it tells you on the ladder.
Yeah, I know.
And then it has like me. Oh, that doesn't help anyone. It tells you where you're at.
I'm aware. I'm 180th.
180th. And how many tips are you
on? 50.
Okay. I'm 162nd on I tipped 6 last week. Disappointing, but what do you do?
I tipped 7 last week, so I'm happy with that.
Okay. Well, Schivo, SCHYVO, has surged to the top of the tipping competition.
Nice.
So, yeah. Followed by Methodical Flame, who just loves to sit there at second. Liv Morrow, a.k.a. Rocco's daughter, has dropped down to third. Locke Mitchell up to fourth, tied with Navy Blue Spirit. Big Joshy Bootsma down to sixth on 59 tips. Mighty Turnips up to seventh. Kobe the Blue Bagger, eighth. Josh Mad Blues, ninth. And Ciccio Pasticcio, 10th. That's a great name.
It is.
So there you go. There you go. We inch closer to the end.
Very good.
Let's begin our journey into round 10, shall we?
Any other thoughts, feelings, emotions, or just generally?
No, I think we can get through the thoughts, feelings, and emotions now for each game.
Okay. Any final words of wisdom about life before we crack on?
No, we can do that later. We've got a job to do.
You're right.
Gold Coast, Hawthorn, Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. up in Darwin. Suns haven't lost here in 5 years. They've won their last 7. The question is this too much of an advantage for the Suns, or are the Hawks about to do the unthinkable?
Well, I think that the rhetoric has been thrown around midweek a little bit, hasn't it, about just how big of an advantage it is. They're so good up there, especially now, considering that they're a more well-rounded team. They'll be even better there. And I think Hawthorn are resting a couple of players as well, which doesn't. I know, like some of their older players, I think one of Gunston and Bruce probably aren't playing this game. So if teams are going to start resting players against the Suns in Darwin, considering they play 2 games a year there, you can basically chalk up 2 wins already, considering just how good they are. And if teams essentially start conceding defeat before they even rock up, it's going to be hard to lose, right?
I get what you're saying. Who are they actually resting though?
I think I saw it as a tweet. So
okay,
you're gonna have to bear with me for 2 seconds.
Because like Gunston and or Bruce, I wouldn't say is, I mean, the Gunston in particular is having a great year. but I wouldn't say that the Hawks are sort of giving into this game. They're still very capable.
No, obviously because they're a good side and they bat deep. They definitely bat deep, but I think as a side with an relatively strong, makes out. There you go.
Makes out, Reeves is in.
With a relatively strong injury list, like they've obviously got some key players still hurt. Obviously, Will Dad being the main one against a relatively fit, healthy, fit and firing Gold Coast side. I mean, it's all set up for the Suns to win and win convincingly. I mean, let's not forget they won by 10 goals. They beat Geelong by 64 points there last year.
That's true.
And scored 160. Okay. Granted, they conceded 100 points, but they also scored 164. Pretty impressive.
I think you've just reminded me about how dominant, because I've been entertaining the thought of the Hawks winning tomorrow night. I think you've just reminded me about the reality of this game.
I think it comes from a position of like, you got to like, the Suns are always going to be doubted because I haven't done anything yet. So I kind of understand that to a certain extent. I think Hawthorn have probably proven themselves a little bit more consistently over the last 12 months. They've probably been the best side in football since the bye last year. Whereas the Suns are still trying to find their feet. I think this is a game where if they can win and win well, it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, like now we're on. Now we kind of have this like really solid base to build off.
Well, mate, I'll tell you what, like if they get it done, the Suns, like this is, we're talking top 2, end of the round, you know?
Yeah, they'll be 7 and 2 because they've played well in this game.
With a game in hand, yeah, that's the other part to the equation as well. Which, okay, who are you tipping?
The Suns.
Okay, I'm not sure anymore. I'm just going to leave it as a unsure.
Get off the fence.
No, as in I'll see tomorrow before the game. I'll make my decision. You know the rules. I don't want to commit to a I told you I'd be honest with you.
Yeah, you're a coward. Yeah, it's fine.
You can't call anyone a coward. You can't use that word.
I just did.
No, but like you can't actually do it because you are the coward.
Me? How? How? I have not changed one tip all year from what I've said on the show.
So I'm a coward because I'm not ready to tip just yet. I want to get the full information.
What is the full information?
All the teams.
Okay, sure. All right, okay, let's sit there. I'm gonna wait till 5 minutes before the bounce of every single game, just so I can analyze the players' facial reaction, so I can get like all the information. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. I want to see haircuts tomorrow night before I make a tip.
What short back and sides? The more short back and sides, the winning team.
It depends. All right. What about Friday night? The Blues, the Swans. SCG 740 haven't beaten the Swans at the SCG since 2019, and before that it was the Judd game, infamous Judd game, which you and I probably covered a couple of times in reflections when we did this preview last year and the year before. No, and it's an exact example why we don't do reflections anymore for a game like this, where there aren't many good memories.
No, but also it ran its course. I thought it was very, very good last year, but
I think we got out perfectly. You never want to overstay your welcome.
Yeah, it's like the TV show that like ended at the right time.
Yeah,
like The Office UK or US, whichever one had 2 seasons. I can't remember. Point being.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this game?
Well, I'm going up. Are you going up?
No.
You're a coward.
You're gonna have to stop calling me coward because I will literally come and stomp on you.
I found what pokes at you.
Yeah, but you wouldn't call me a coward if we were in the same room.
Yeah, I would.
You wouldn't. I would pick you up and start folding you up and say, "Call me a coward now." See, this is the thing with you lot.
That's
on
not
the
kind.
internet,
That's not kind.
There's no repercussions. You all talk your trash on the internet, and you haven't lived in a reality where you get smacked around for talking shit.
Okay, sure.
And I guarantee you'll never call me a coward again once I lift you up and fold you up.
That's not very kind.
All right, we need to get back on track. This is terrible right now, unprofessional. Let's get back on track.
Yeah, because you're
I'm
threatening
not flying up to Sydney.
I'll be flying up to Sydney. Do you want to hear? You know what? We'll divert for 1 second, and then we'll return back to the subject. I'm flying up to Sydney, so I'm flying at Friday 8 a.m. watching the game, flying back to Melbourne Saturday 8 a.m. going straight to the MCG to watch Collingwood Adelaide. Then coming home, they're going to Amy Park to watch Melbourne Victory versus Auckland. And then there's a potential in which on the Sunday I go to Coburg versus the Northern Bull Ants, Battle of Bell Street, get down. But that's besides the point.
Okay. You are on one tonight, aren't you? You're up and about.
Yeah. Well, we weren't live last week, so I'm getting all my energy out from last week.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to have to be a little bit more tolerant tonight. Fair enough.
Okay.
Breaking news. I didn't see this coming, although I kind of did hear it. Tom de Koning has all of a sudden been labelled as in doubt to face the Swans on Friday due to a larynx injury he sustained this week. The Blues will have their final run in Melbourne tomorrow morning before flying north. Now, I was at the club on Monday, and Sandra, I think it might have been with you. Sandra's in the chat. I heard Tom talking to someone, and his voice was croaky. And he actually was talking, and I was sitting right next to the table that he was talking to, and he was saying, yeah, it happened during the game because they were asking him what happened to your voice. But I didn't think much of it. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I've never had a injury to my larynx. I can't imagine it would be any fun.
It's a shame that you haven't. You deserve that. You absolutely deserve that one.
I'm just going to pretend that didn't happen.
No, it happened.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. I can't imagine it would be a fun injury to have. So, yeah, I've got no. Didn't someone injure their larynx last year, like a player?
Ed Kerno. Well, not last year, but Ed Kerno hurt his larynx. Oh, who did we play? And there was a high fend off. Why do I think it was Dusty?
No, well, yeah, there you go.
Got a feeling it was a Dustin Martin fend off, but yeah, Ed Kerno in a couple of years ago did it.
It was Max Gawn in this off season, fractured larynx in a preseason injury. So there you go. So that's quite bizarre. Two larynx injuries within the kind of the same season. I can't imagine it would be fun. Don't know, no idea what the potential timeline is for return. And I don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't impact performance. I just don't know how it would. If that makes sense. Would it impact breathing? Maybe.
I think so. I think breathing and obviously talking. You got to scream.
Yeah, you got to communicate stuff. Yeah, so yeah, that's bizarre. Very, very bizarre injury. We'd love to see potential footage of when it might have happened because I've got like no idea.
Yeah,
we could like dig that up, but yeah.
Well, that is in addition to Lockie Cowan, who is going to miss with a minor hamstring strain. He will be unavailable for the next 2 games before the bye. And the other one was Blake Acres, who won't play this week. He's got a sore shoulder, and he will be available. He will be aiming to recover to be available against the Giants next week. So there's 2 outs for sure.
Yeah.
Mitch McGovern is a test after scans cleared him of any structural damage after his collision, which can I just remind you and everyone, not that you're guilty of this, but like everyone, whenever there's a controversial bump that ends up in a suspension and there's the bump is dead rhetoric, can we just take a moment to realize the bump's not dead? Because Mitch McGovern got a beautiful bump and received one and no suspension. Like the bump's alive.
bump properly with correct technique.
Well,
Yeah.
Tom Gross also bumped Harry Mackay, concussed him. No suspension. The bump's alive, mate. Alive and well.
Oh, I think that was more head clash than bump.
Well, the head clash was from the bump.
Yeah, I would say they're a little bit different, but I understand the point. I understand
As in,
your
what
point.
was Tom Gross doing?
I think that was more just a collision. I thought Harry more ran into Tom Gross, but besides the point.
Okay, all right. I'll be sure to make sure that things are crystal clear. I heard your 21st speeches, and I heard it from your family. You love to just argue any point that you can. It's good. Great intel.
Yeah, right. Thanks. Yeah, we're not going to bring up my 21st speeches. Thank you very much.
All right. So the point is,
point
two
is
to three, two changes for sure, maybe three.
Yes. What's your gut feel on Gov? I reckon he'll miss. Based on nothing other than just gut feel. Yeah.
I think he'll play.
Interesting. Okay.
And the reason why I think he'll play is because on Monday they could have just put him on the sideline and do the modified program and do laps and run throughs, but he seemed to be out there normally, full drills, like he was a part of the main group. Which, to be fair, like I said in the report, it was a very skills-based session, not a lot of not like a high-intensity session. It was more like a run-through Monday. Today they had their main session, I think. So I think he'll play. I think Carroll will come in for Cowan.
Yep.
If De Koning doesn't play, then I think Pito will play, even though he got a knock to his body last week. And this is the contentious one. Is it Doc or is it a Camporelli that plays the Acres role?
I guess I think that's the most contentious one. I do see a world. I agree with the Carroll for Cowan. I think that's, especially considering Carroll was withdrawn from the VFL side last week. I think that's pretty cut and dry. I see a world in which Camporelli and Doherty both play. Should McGovern come out and they swing Young into defence and kind of work in around like that. If it is just Acres out, I would see them going for Doc purely from a more body composition wise perspective, because I think Acres being that little bit of that bigger body, that bigger body, a little bit stronger defensively, I think is very valuable to our team defense, which I think Voss values highly. So I think Doc's probably a little bit stronger than that. If it was someone like a Bins coming out or like the other more attacking winger, then I would say Campo coming in. But gut feel, I mean, I'd love Campo to come in, but gut feel things will be Doc.
I think it'll be. I think Doc is the perfect replacement for Blake Acres in the Blake Acres role.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yep.
And then I think what it also allows us to do is just have Ollie Hollands play on the wing, Jackson Bins play on the wing, as he did last week, and continue that. This is when I see us needing to play Doc, when we have a few injuries and Acres unavailable. So yeah, that's my gut feel at this stage. I'll tell you another one. I do think he'll play, but George Hewitt, from memory, was doing the modified program on the side. Well, he was. I'm just saying, that happens. Like, as in, Charlie was doing set shots with Harry. It was all. I'm not suggesting that Hewitt's injured, but just from memory, I mean, McGovern was doing the main group stuff. So I don't know.
Well, considering their main session would have been today and the news about De Koning came out, I think if there was any other news, that also would have came out as well about players, any injury news. So we should be okay from that regard. Just back on Doc quickly. I like the thing is with Doc is that I agree he would come in for Acres. I think that's a perfect role should he come in. However, considering he's been in and out of the side and when he has played, he hasn't been amazing. I would love to see Doc be given 6 weeks in the VFL and just like on the proviso to just dominate, get confidence back in your body, get touch back, get confidence in your position, dominate VFL games because he's got the ability to, right? He can rack up 30 and dominate, right? Do that for 5-6 weeks get that confidence back, get that belief back in your body and in your ability. And when you come back in, should you come back into whatever role, you're coming in with confidence. You're ready to go with a good, solid 6 weeks, 5 weeks of full footy, senior footy, because like the AFL, you come up against some big boys, whilst also playing well. Because I don't think the chopping and changing, whilst it would affect a younger player a little bit more than someone as experienced as Doc, I don't think the chopping and changing of coming in, sub, playing on the wing, playing half back, half forward is going to do him any favours, considering he doesn't really have a lot of confidence right now, it seems.
I tend to agree, but for that reason, I would rather Doc play than Lucas Camporelli, for example, because you know that if Lucas is playing, when Akers is ready, he's coming straight back in.
True.
So I would actually rather see Lucas dominate the VFL 3-4 weeks. We get to after the bye, and then there might be a spot there back for him. You know, Doc's the one that I think plays the sacrificial lamb, so to speak. So, but this time tomorrow, we'll find out.
Yeah, and one of them will do it and one of them won't. So, yeah, very good.
Are you going to tip the Blues?
Absolutely, I'm going to tip the Blues. We win this game.
Really?
Yeah. Bullshit, yeah. Yep.
I had a look. Charlie and Harry. So last year was. Do you remember last year?
Yeah.
So we lose by 52 odd points. I still remember the fan cams. This was when it started. This was when the change it up. We're too slow. We're one paced, and then we started seeing Hewitt get dropped.
Insane, right? Especially now.
Hewitt, they had Kennedy as the sub. We have no pace. We have no speed, and then like the coaches started playing around with things, and yeah.
But in fairness, it worked.
Did it?
Well, we went from out of the 8 after I lost to Sydney to a game and a half clear in second.
Nah, I don't remember it like that.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. Because the week after Sydney, because we had that 4-week period where we lost to Collingwood, lost to Geelong, just scraped by against Melbourne and got pelted by Sydney.
Right. When did we drop Hewitt? After that patch?
It was after that patch, I think.
Anyway, I still remember those fan games really clearly.
What I remember from that game clearly is our fullback of the century, Charlie Curnow, where we moved him behind the ball like halfway through the third quarter. That was just...
That's right.
Crazy. I was looking through the stats the other day. I think the stat is something along the lines of both Charlie and Harry have their least goals kicked in their career against Sydney. Something along those lines. The SCG hasn't necessarily been a happy hunting ground for either of those two in recent years. Obviously, the one that really springs to mind for me was Harry in 2023 when he was in the midst of his slump in form and didn't have a good time of it that day. I was at that game as well, funnily enough. So I think, I mean, they're due a redemption game, aren't they? So if we go by that logic, considering the outs that they have, considering how well we've been able to defend and their makeshift and depleted forward line with 2 key forwards of Joel Hamling and Aaron Francis, potentially Joel Amati if he comes back in, but I think my point still stands. We should win this game.
Yeah. Wiedering was subbed early in the game. Corky in the first quarter.
Last year?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Carlton suffers an injury loss with Jacob Wiedering forced out of the game after copying a Corky in the first quarter. He battled on. Yeah, he battled on and Jack Carroll replaced Jacob Wiedering in the third quarter. So Jacob battled on a bit, but he was no good. Heaney kicked 3, Warner kicked 3. Warner also kicked 3 the time before that. Papley 2, McLean 2. Yeah, it was just no good. It was just not a good night. So yeah, I'll tip the Blues. I've been saying it all week. I'm hopeful. I'm not confident, but mate, anything can happen.
Yeah, you'll have to forgive my my stats. Kerno's had a pretty good record against the Swans. It's Harry who's kicked his least amount of goals against any other team in the competition against the Swans, and has kicked his most amount of behinds against the Swans.
Right.
8 goals. He's kicked 8 goals 20 in his career against the Swans.
Yeah. Hey, I went on the Sydney Big Footy Forum today.
Wow, that's you're right. Okay, everything all good in the Degani household.
I don't have a read on the Swans, and I wanted to get a feel for like fan sentiment, because usually the fans know the intricacies of what's going on. I actually think it's a great exercise for everyone to do. Go and read other fan clubs' forums. The same thing is being spoken about that we say. So I'll give you an example. I saw commentary around Cox has got no plan B. Look at me. Cox is too soft at team selection. Look at Sam Mitchell. He drops Ginnivan. Cox doesn't drop Florent or Jake Lloyd. Then you get the replies, well, who's there to drop? We've got injuries. You can't bring this guy and he's not good enough, whatever. What was the other one? No plan B, losing games at team selection. Cox has got no clue. He's too soft. He's got his mates. He's got his favorites. Yeah, but they're like the Swans fans' rhetoric generally is we're going to get thumped, which I just find fascinating. I have such a fear of the Swans at the SCG.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the first time in a while. I mean, last year when we played them, they were the barometer. They were the benchmark of the competition, and they continue to be. They continue to be up until halfway through the first quarter of the grand final, which is quite ironic. And even in 2023, we weren't going that great. Granted, nor were they, but I think they were going a little bit better than us. And then you have to go back to 2019 before we beat them at the SCG. So look, I think they're in a position of transition naturally. New coach, injured players, still finding their feet. They're so gettable. They're the most gettable at the SCG they've been since we last played them. I don't think the midfield battle is one that is as favoured towards them as what it was last year. No Goulden. Warner's not playing as well as what he was last year. Neither is Heaney, as I knock on wood to not.
What have you done? Well, why did you say that?
Sorry, I really do apologise. And like I said, they've got a really depleted forward line. Considering how well we've defended as well this season, we should win. Really, if we're serious, we should win. And all of a sudden, we're 5-5, 5-5,
5-5 if we win. So,
and then it's back on.
All right. If we beat the Swans, and then we beat the Giants, and then the bye comes, we get Chincotta back into the mix. You know, Fogarty will be fit. We'll get an update on Nick Newman. Then we're talking, a run.
Who knows?
I would argue we are in a better position now for a run than what we were in 2023.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
I would argue that strongly.
Took the yeah. Thank you.
Oh, it's on, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's on. It's so on. There's so much room for improvement.
I saw a ladder comparison from this time last year to now. We're in a better, if not same position this year than what Brisbane, Hawthorn, and the Bulldogs were last year at this time. The Lions went on to win the flag, and the Bulldogs and the Hawks were the two most informed teams heading into finals. It's a shame that they just happened to verse each other in the first round.
It's perfect. There's doubt about us, but now it's not too much doubt because we know that there's potential. Like, we're not quite the basket case that we thought we were going to be, but still there's doubt. We've had to be humbled and go back to the well and, fix it and figure it out. Whereas this time last year, we were in the top 4 conversation all season and then got found out. And then, the Dogs who started poorly, the Hawks who started poorly, the Lions who started poorly. Ooh. Okay. All right. Just calm down.
Yeah.
Beat the Swans and then we can talk.
Yeah.
All right. We spent way too much time on Carlton.
Yeah. Happens.
Saturday, 1:20 p.m. MCG. Absolute thriller. Collingwood, Adelaide. Was this the game last year where Rankine was pinged at the MCG for running too far?
Yeah. So the last four games between these two sides have had a combined margin of 12 points, with
Dude.
none of those games being decided by over a goal. And yeah, in classic fashion, the Pies have won all four, with the last two being at the MCG. So yeah, if you cast your minds back to last year, it was Rankin running too far. If you can't cast your minds back to the year before, it was the non-high free kick against Jordan Dawson with 5 seconds to go that left him with a bloody lip. They would have had him see, or would have seen him have a shot from about 40 out directly in front.
Wait. Sorry. Say that again.
So last year was Rankin running too far.
Yes, I got that part.
The year before that was a non-high contact decision against Jordan Dawson with 5 seconds to go, inside 50, and the evidence of Jordan Dawson's lip filled with claret going up to the umpire being like, how has this happened then with no free kick? Yeah, but yeah, so as someone who's going to this game, I really hope it follows in that fashion, but hopefully the Crows can get on the good side of it this time.
I struggle to tip against Collingwood at the MCG, especially when they're proven to be, good again.
Yeah, I agree. I really don't like to give them credit, but when it's deserved, it's deserved. They've been very good this year. And are they better than what they were in 2023?
Are they better than what they were in 2023? I don't know. I think they're close.
Yeah, I was going to say if they're not, they're very close, and they're doing it against hard opposition. They've had a pretty hard fixture. It's only going to get easier, and they're doing it with some players either not performing very well, like Idegoi, or some players hurt and in and out of the side, like McStay. So
Darcy Moore won't play as well.
No, he won't play. So maybe that does favour the three-headed monster that Adelaide.
Well, that's significant because that's your leader. That's your organizer of the back line. That's their leadering. That's kind of, and I think that's significant against a team like the Crows. The question will be, can the Crows exploit that? They're going to get Pendlebury back into the team, the Pies. So, there's going to be organisation back that he brings. I think they're just naturally they're already pretty organised, but I think they're naturally a better organised team when Pendlebury's there.
Totally agree. Yeah, the intangible factor that he brings is invaluable.
I mean, Tex Fogarty and Thilthorpe at the MCG. I will tip Collingwood.
I'll tip Collingwood. In what I hope is a close game. The Crows have played at the G1 so far this season and won by 10 goals and put 164 points on the Bombers early on in the season. So granted, the Pies are a lot better, but I think the front line of Adelaide have hit better form since then. So with a more or less Collingwood defence will be interesting, but I think the Pies will get it done in a thriller.
Then Port Adelaide and the Geelong Cats, Saturday, 17th of May, Adelaide Oval. Have you checked the weather for this game? I should.
No,
well, Jane Bunn's weather report for the Cats. Just want to make. I need to get that one.
No, fair. No, you're right. You are right.
Yeah. Are you going to tip Port or are you going to tip Geelong?
The Cats. Absolutely, the Cats.
I'm going to tip my boys.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Okay, sure.
I just think it's got all the minerals of the Port power being, when they're on, like they're disappointing. When they're disappointing, but it usually happens against take them to win. And this one, bit of doubt, not favourite. Cats have this aura. Chris Scott, third. Have you seen this new role of his as a director of the 5G company?
No.
Yeah. Scandalous.
Yeah, is that all above board, is it?
I just got a feeling. Port back, bit of edge, for Kenny.
Bit of what?
Bit of edge.
Yeah.
I have there's no basis. It's a baseless feeling other than the vibes.
Interesting. Yeah, I think you're wrong. Yeah, that's great. That was last week. That was the thing last week, and then some 195 centimeter bloke from Ireland decided to spoil the party. In actual fact, I think it was their skipper who decided to rove a ball from a stoppage with about a minute and a half to go and miss, which I don't think has been talked about enough as what it should be by a certain former 300 game player for the Port Adelaide Football Club in particular. So yeah, I think the Cats will win. I think they're just. They showed last week that it took a 7-goal haul to beat them, and even still, they had chances to win the game. I think they're just. Yeah, I think they're really good. I think they'll defend well enough and exploit the Port Adelaide's slightly feeble defensive line.
Okay. This could bring you and I to a tie in the tipping this week, mate.
Good.
Yeah, I'm only one ahead of you.
Oh, yeah, true. The last time these two teams played was the 84-point demolition job in the qualifying final. I just want to put that out there.
All right. Then, at the same time, your boys,
My boy.
new boys, you've got a new relationship with a new team.
No. This is the OJs. The OJs.
I'm sorry. You need to acknowledge that you are in a new relationship with a new team.
Nah. They've always been my boys.
No.
Yeah,
if I have to go back and get the tapes, I will gladly do it.
No, we won't. I don't think that's necessary on multiple parts. I don't think that's necessary.
All right, talk to me about your boys, the Giants.
Well, I think it was a very typical backs against the wall, anytime, any place kind of win by the Giants. They've been kind of criticised and much maligned across the last month. Haven't been performing to the way that they've expected to be. Haven't been defending, especially in the way that they needed to get the job done. The individual talent is there. They just break down a little bit, kind of without the ball. And I thought they were far more disciplined defensively. I thought they were a side that looked a little bit more connected, especially on that short ground and that narrow ground down at the Cattery last week. And then when you have Jesse Hogan, he's probably the best forward in the competition right now, doing what he did, kicking 7, passing a few off. The recipe for success, and I feel like that could be a win that kickstarts their season because, Tom got its 100th game last week as well, so it was good to get a win for him.
Yeah, they were very impressive. Freo, what's going on, man? They've lost their aura. Is that right? Is that the right way?
Do they even have any?
I thought they found a little something last year. No, they did lose their last 4 last year, I guess. But wasn't there a time where they started really finding it? They started looking like they had entered a new realm?
No, I don't know what you're remembering.
Maybe I overrated them. I'm disappointed. I think they're
totally agree. Yeah, totally. They've underperformed, but I think that the reason why everyone expected them to perform as highly as what they did pre-season was because they were expecting the jump, and it just hasn't happened.
Also, I've been watching Caleb Sarong closely, right?
Have you now?
I have. I know this is very random.
This is really niche.
He's not the same composed guy in the clinches that he was. Like, he's a chucker on the boot. Like, when midfielders have that confidence and they have a little bit more time at the stoppages and in traffic. Sarong, the way I watch him right now, he's not playing the same way. He's just getting the ball and he's just throwing that thing on the boot as quickly as he can. He seems to not have that confidence, composure, poise, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's infecting a lot of them.
Well, the pressure when it's hot in the kitchen, you don't know how to handle the pressure. It might not be pressure, immediate pressure, but it's the external pressure of not performing very well. Kind of as a leader, as a premier midfielder in that team, you kind of need to stand up and do something. And sometimes it gets too much for players.
I agree. I just always saw him as one that had the ability to deal with that pressure and I think it's a microcosm of the rest of them.
What a word. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree.
So, look, I'm not going to tip Freo. I'm going to tip the Giants. Is there any chance Freo can win this game?
Yeah, because the Giants are gettable still. They haven't earned my trust back fully. So Freo can win this game, but I don't think they will.
Okay. All right. Then at night, 7:35 in Melbourne, Marvel, Western Bulldogs, Essendon. Hey, the Bombers have a game in hand and they've won 5 games.
Settled.
These are the facts.
No, yeah, okay, you're right, but like they were also 8-2 last year. And remember, you can't miss finals from 8-2.
I know. I'm just saying, they're going okay
for now.
Everyone's either going okay or going poorly for now, but
yeah,
give some credit where it's due. They're going okay.
Yeah, okay, well, sure. I'll give credit to Zach Reid. He was all right.
Big credit to Zach Reid.
He was all right. Hopefully that back issue that he experienced today in training is just a little bit of a knock. He should be okay.
Having said all that, I do think the Dogs win this by a lot.
By a lot. Interesting. Yeah, a bunch of stuff in the comments. Look at the Bombers' opposition, though. Not convinced. That's more the basis of my criticism of them. Not criticism, but my.
That's fair.
But they've been West Coast, Port, Melbourne, like some pretty pox teams. So.
Yeah, but you can only you can only play who you are scheduled to play.
You can only beat what's
they weren't convincing. Yes, that is all very true, but we lost to Richmond, so
totally fair. And if we lose to Sydney, who are we to say anything about losing?
Exactly right. You got to win the game. This one's pretty straightforward, though. I think it's a pretty doggy performance. Pretty doggy. They're good. I like them. They're good.
They're good. Yeah, they're right.
Are you a non-believer in the Dogs?
No, totally a believer. I thought they put up the best fight against the best fight in comparison to any other team up there in Darwin last week. So yeah, I think they're.
Where do you predict them to finish? Like, what type of team are they? Are they good for now, or do you think they're legitimately a 4th best team, 5th best team? Like,
I think they're kind of just going a little bit under the radar. They've got their players back now for the most part. I think Treloar's the player. Treloar and Darcy, once they get them back, they should be at relatively full health from memory. Kennedy has been great for the Dogs as well in the comments. He's been a great addition to them. So I think they're a side that, with some luck, could be there on preliminary final weekend. But I think they're going to be definitely within the mix. And once again, they're a side that, with the individual talent they have, can beat any team on any given day. So you wouldn't want to come up against them in finals.
Good shout on Kennedy. I'm happy with how everything's played out.
Yeah, totally agree.
I don't think he and Hewitt are playing as good a footy as they both are if they're both playing for Carlton. I think you needed to make a choice, and I'm stoked for Matt Kennedy, and I'm stoked for George Hewitt.
Concur with everything you said. Totally agree.
Yeah. Then Sunday, Richmond, North Melbourne at the MCG. So happy you got rid of that whole North Melbourne thing.
It wasn't thing.
As in, you were talking about it. I'm like, mate, I find myself barracking for North as a neutral in the last few weeks in the 4th quarter, and I'm no, as in, I want to see them win because I like the underdogs getting up. And then I watched them perform, and it's like, wow, it's painful.
They drew against fucking reigning premiers.
I know, but it's.
She Chalmers 2 intercept marks late in the switch kick.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Elite.
It was very impressive. Did you see the clips where Clarko was talking about how they can't practice late game scenarios because they don't find themselves in late game scenarios that are close? Did you see that?
Yeah.
And then contrast to when they were talking about it still this year with Michael Barlow.
Yeah, on Footy and Friends, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's a thing? Do you think that is, yeah?
Because you can only, because, no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Why train for when you're 3 points up with 2 minutes to go if you're 3 points up with 2 minutes to go in one of your last 60 games that you've played? Maybe try getting to that point first before you start training that point.
Yeah, it's fair. I still think they're improving. I just ever since they played us, they've shown a little bit more. Having said that, would you tip them?
Who did I tip this game? I mean, they've got to win, right?
No.
I actually I tip Richmond. They have to win. As in, what I mean by that is like, in the same way that we had to beat West Coast, they have to win this game. Because if they lose this game, it undoes all the good work they've done over the last 3 weeks against Port, Essendon, and Brisbane. Because it's like, okay, it's you played well for 3 weeks, didn't get a result, and then in a game in which you should win on the G, you don't. So it's like, okay, well, what's the point?
Yeah, I'm going to tip Richmond. I love their spirit.
Very, very negligent on the behalf of the entire footy media in regards to the way that we thought Richmond were going to go this year. Very negligent, because hindsight's a beautiful thing. I know hindsight's a beautiful thing, but I feel like this was the expected outcome for them this season. The reason why I say that is because they've still got a lot of experienced players playing very well. And I actually think that it will obviously get worse for them before it gets better. But I mean, credit to them because, they've done fantastic this season. So yeah,
right. Gee, Sunday's a barn burner of a day at the Gabba, Brisbane versus the D's at the Gabba, 3:20.
The lights went out in this game 2 years ago.
They did. I saw your note here. Clary as a tagger. Can we unpack this?
Let's.
Is this fair to bring up the salary and say is it a fair part of the conversation?
I don't know if I've thought about it in the sense of it being fair. My opinion on the discourse around him, though, is that the best analysis I've seen of this whole Clary as a tagger was from Nathan Buckley on Waitley. And not once did he bring up salary, trade talk, nothing. He just talked about him as a player and as a person trying to get better, helping the team, and what it's going to do for them. I thought so. Yeah, I think if that answers your question, it probably doesn't. But
no, I think it does. If we just take one step further and we say, look, the fact that he is $1 million player, whatever the salary is in that ballpark. I don't know if it's exactly $1 million, but the fact that he is willing to accept with full conviction a role and do it should be a positive when trying to build that culture of no ego. And so I think the conversation, that's why I asked the question, is it fair? My initial reaction was, why would you pay $1 million for a guy to tag? And then I think it's actually a good thing. I wouldn't want it to happen all season if I was a Melbourne supporter personally, but I do think it sends the right message that Clary is willing to play a role for the team.
Well, it all comes down to outcome and results, right? If it works for them, it works for them. Like, you probably wouldn't change it if he starts clamping down really well and playing a little bit more of a defensive role, and then the D's start winning and dominating from the middle, etc. So I think it is one of those things where, I mean, Buck spoke about it, and I'm just going to take his points verbatim because why not? He spoke about the mental release it can give a player who has been tagged for his career to be on the other side of the coin and to be that hunter instead of the hunted, and it can give this. Because I can only assume, like, I was a very quality footballer in my day, but never that good to get tagged. So I can't imagine what it is like. But I can imagine there'd be a lot of complexity surrounding it in regards to trying to break it, like blocking and using your teammates and running patterns and all this stuff. Whereas, whilst there's obviously there would be complexities with tagging someone, for the most part, the MO is follow him and stop him getting the ball. And for a player who's been tagged his whole career, to now do the tagging and to now be the hunter, I think can be a little bit of a cathartic experience for him. I can only assume, if that is something he's willing to buy into, and if that is something that all the players, all the midfielders, and the team are willing to buy into for him. I really hope it goes well for him, because in the same way that we have this conversation around Jamara, in the same way that we've had it about Harry Mackay, players who aren't playing well for whatever reason, in my like the way that I feel about it most strongly is that I want to see Clayton Oliver having 32 and kicking 2 every week because he's a star. So if this experience can help him get back to that, whether it's at Melbourne or at Geelong or Hawthorn or whoever, then I think it's good for him, good for the competition.
Yep. Having said all of that, the Lions.
Brisbane absolutely by fucking heaps. Yeah, by just so many points.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, they're just. Is it because they won the flag that they get the? Oh, they're just. It's a marathon, not a sprint. They know what they're doing. They don't want to peak too early. Is that why they get the benefit of the doubt?
So you're saying you're going to give them the benefit of the doubt? Do you know where Brisbane are on the ladder right now?
No, yes, they're right up there. I know, but
they're top.
They haven't been at their optimal form, and they're still on top. 2
points clear, no less.
I know.
Oh, mate, if they find it, we're all fucked.
I know. I'm like that's. I agree. I think I know they're on top, and I still don't think they've played close to their best footy.
Insane.
Oh, it's the Brisbane dynasty.
Not again.
It is. It's happening again.
To be fair, if one team was going to do it, they're an alright team to do it, I think.
It's happening again, isn't it? You just got to steer clear of Brisbane at the Gabba in finals. But, I mean, even at the G, they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, have they played at the G this season?
Don't know.
Chat? Yeah, chat.
Chat.
Yeah, interesting.
And then the final game. 4:40 p.m. This is peak graveyard dog. I won't say it.
Shit.
I won't say it. But yeah, you've written here, Jesus Christ, who cares? West Coast, St Kilda.
Did I add any other points to that, or did I just say that?
You literally just said, Jesus Christ, who cares? You are getting more and more narky and nasty to the St Kilda Footy Club every week.
No. It's not. No, it's not. It's not the Saints. It's just the Saints tend to play in games that I don't necessarily care about.
Okay, so it's the Saints. It's okay.
I don't love St Kilda. That's very hard.
You don't. That's okay.
I don't hate St Kilda. I'm very ambivalent towards them.
I must say, I had the fear of losing to them last week, more so just because, they're just that team. They shut off your options and they get up, they play well against the Blues, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the relief of, living through 5 days or 6 days after beating them, just purely from the standpoint of there was a moment in time last week where I thought, wow, am I going to have to sit through, Jake and all the Saints supporters? They were getting up and about like before a game. I've never seen them confident like that before a ball is bounced. So they were brought back down to reality somewhat last week.
They can't lose this week, can they?
They can lose this week. Every team can lose. I think the Saints of a couple of years ago might have lost. I don't think this version of the Saints can lose this game or will lose this game.
Yeah, you are kind of touched on that last night.
But will they? Will they? Like,
because think about it. West Coast have to win a game at some point.
Yeah.
4:40 Sunday.
Oh.
Imagine the scenes.
I do not think this will be a 60-point blowout.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Every team.
Just be very careful because we play the Eagles soon as well. So.
Yeah. Okay, but if you're going to take that logic in, then we can't talk about any team.
All right, I'll tip the Saints. You?
Yeah. I'll tip the Saints, not confidently though.
Okay. And that is the week. So we're going to have maybe 2 tips that change that differ.
Really? You didn't even say who you tip. For the most part,
I'm tipping the Saints. Tipping the Saints, tipping the Lions, tipping Richmond, tipping the Bulldogs, tipping the Giants, tipping Port Adelaide. That's the one difference. Tipping Collingwood, tipping Carlton, and I think I'll tip Hawthorn.
Right. I've actually tipped the West Coast in my tips, so I'll tip West Coast.
No way, you won't.
It's not going to affect that. Yeah.
So you won't be changing those tips?
No, because I'm not a coward.
And that's it. Like those are your tips. All right. Well, I have to enter my tips in.
Why is my color grading like this? Technical difficulties. Yeah, it's a little bit better.
You know what? We had a nice, I would say, a 4-week run, and I think tonight we found your spark again. Your little poke the fun. You're a bit frisky tonight.
Are you saying I haven't been on form?
You were in form the last month, and I think you've found some friskiness again. You just,
Is this not me being in form?
No, absolutely not.
Right. Okay. What is? Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, all good. That's fine.
This is the old you.
What does that mean?
As in, you were showing signs of real evolution.
Have I not brought adequate analysis to the show this week?
You have, with a little sprinkling of.
But that's
the word. What's the word? You know when you're in that mood? I know you well enough now. When you're in that mood.
What mood?
That mood. That one where you just want to pick at everything.
Maybe I just like making conversation.
Yeah, no, you do. Yeah, you're good at that.
Was that a problem?
No, see.
No, because you rock up here. I'll tell you what. Because you rock up here every week, and you don't really give me anything before the show. It's more just like business. And then we hit live, and then it's more just like you always. I'll make a comment, and then you just sit there and go like, "Yep," and then there's no. So I have to go the extra mile to get back. Can we do 360 feedback?
You know what? That's fair. That is great conversation. That's fair. That's all. Yeah. That's actually epic stuff. We can be open and honest about such things. I'll take that on board. I'm obviously balancing, focusing, notes, comment, all of that, but no excuse. You know what? That's a fair and valid piece of communication, and I encourage you to do that more often.
All right, let's do 360
before we go live, so we can be on the same page, and you don't feel like you have to, pull. This is great.
Dissect. Should I come back next week with 360 feedback?
Why don't you just give me 360 feedback before we go live, and then we can.
Why don't we do a show about it? Why don't we do a show? Why don't we dedicate the last 10 minutes of next week's show to 360 feedback?
That's an almost blues. We can. Sure, we can do 360 feedback.
Yeah, I know the boys do it. I know.
That's more of an almost Blues Brothers thing. But hey, 360 feedback wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. I've got that's fine.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, right. That's right.
All right.
Because I'm famously really good at taking criticism as well. So this is going to be great.
I will not be giving you any feedback on the stream.
Coward.
All right. You know what? Next week we're doing this show in person, and I'm gonna get you to look me in the eye and call me a coward.
Let's do it. We'll go to the boys' studio in person. 2 seconds away from my work. So that works.
Perfect. And then I can finish the show grabbing you by your ankle upside down.
Mate, you heavily underestimate my hand-to-hand combat ability.
You don't think I could grab? You don't think I could actually like catch
Never
you and
said
grab
that. Never said that. I just said you heavily underestimate my hand-to-hand combat ability.
you? Okay.
Good.
Do I really have to fold you up and shoot you like a basketball?
From 3? No,
have you seen Space Jam?
You can't eat 3s. Yes, I've seen Space Jam.
I eat 3s. Okay.
Can I just say, what's with everyone doing Achilles injuries, by the way?
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
Did you see Guy Sebastian's one?
No.
Guy Sebastian played in a charity game with Fev, and he's gone to turn into a contest, and you can hear it on the phone footage, a pop, and he's gone down and looked behind him to see if anyone said like as if someone's kicked him and like full ruptured Achilles. And then Tatum as well in the basketball the other day.
I watched Tatum do it. I watched when I played basketball. I was warming the bench for the Div 1 Whittlesea Pacers, and our import Jermaine Williams. Team was flying, playoff run coming. He was one of the best players in the league, and he did his Achilles at Diamond Valley. I'll never forget it. Like instantly, the season was dead. He was that good, and I remember watching him take the rebound. No one around him, and he just went down. I don't remember hearing anything, but I remember him explaining and showing like where the Achilles rolled up to his lower calf. Yeah. But I think more importantly with an Achilles like Jason Tatum, it's not on his jumping foot.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So he jumps off his left foot. So does Kevin Durant. So that's why it's okay that not that it's okay, but that's why it would be worse if it was on the planting foot.
Yeah, because that's where you spring off.
Which one did Kemp do?
Right. I think right.
I got a feeling it's left, man. Wait.
Well, I'm trying to think of the footage. I remember him leaning on his left shoulder and holding his right.
Does anybody remember? Wait, I'm going to find it now.
How would this affect his performance on The Voice? I don't know. Does anyone watch The Voice? Surely not. I was a big guy. Oh, was I a big Guy Sebastian fan? My dad's not a big fan of him.
He was Australian Idol.
Yeah, I know, but is he on The Voice? Someone's said, how will this affect his performance on The Voice?
He might be. Brody Kemp, Achilles.
Bring back Seal. Crammers, maybe. Yeah, probably.
Brody Kemp. I swear someone put the footage up.
I'll be on Twitter, surely.
You know how we were at training? I reckon his left foot was the one in the boot.
No, it was the right one. I'm 90% confident it was the one close to us.
Because I thought he was kicking off his right foot. Remember, he had the crutches. Okay, so check this out. I think I found it. Not the footage, but
here we go. Yeah, he's left.
Yeah. So that's not good.
No.
Because that would be his jumping foot. Ugh.
He doesn't sing with his Achilles. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
It was like Jonathan Brown when he like busted up his face. He's like, "You don't run on my face, mate." You might have been a bit young for that.
No, I'm fully aware of that. That was circa 2013.
Yeah,
that's my prime footy nostalgia.
Really?
Yeah.
What else, mate? Before we wrap up,
I'll speak on the Luke Jackson thing quickly, maybe, or if you can't be bothered.
I can talk about Luke Jackson. What would you like to position it, place it?
No, I just think it's quite bizarre. I'm not quite bizarre, but when was the last time a player went to a club and like left the club and then requested a trade back to it?
That would probably be Gary Ablett.
Yeah.
From memory.
A little bit of a different scenario.
Yeah.
with just exorbitant money that was wire transferred into his bank account. So yeah, there's that. Obviously, there's been players that have come and gone to different clubs as well, or that have flip flop between clubs.
Oh, Eddie Betts.
But yes, there you go. Eddie Betts is a fantastic one. Yeah, I think it's Liam Jones. I guess. I mean, we spoke about Freo a little bit. How they just seem a little bit disconnected. Is this separate to that issue, or is this like?
Do you think he'll actually come back to Melbourne?
Well, I mean, there's been different. I mean, there was the smoke earlier in the year with Mitch Cleary reporting that Melbourne clubs were kind of putting the carrot out to see if he'd jump at it, and obviously the report from the West came out last night. Especially if Cozzy requests a trade, I think it's a pretty easy kind of negotiation.
Yeah.
Who's worth more on the open market, Jackson or Cozzy?
Oh.
That's a good question.
Well, I think I still think it's Jackson, but I think because he's playing in a team with two rucks and they're really trying to make that work, he's not going to look as damaging. Wait, I've got a question. Do you believe in Darcy and Jackson coexisting?
Well, apparently the numbers back that up as to something that can work. From the eye test, I don't think it does. And from the it doesn't pass my vibe check.
Well, Darcy needs time and continuity, and he just keeps getting injured. He's had an interrupted preseason. I don't know if I believe in it personally.
Yeah, my gut feel doesn't. And then again, I mean, if Jackson goes to Melbourne, he's only got the best ruckman of a generation in front of him. Granted, he's 34, but still playing arguably career best this season, which is extraordinary.
Well, yeah, but it's more so you can see you can see the future clearly. But what's the ideal split for Darcy and Jackson in the ruck? Is it
Darcy
50-50?
can't play forward. Darcy can't play forward.
He can't.
Darcy can only play in the ruck. Only play in the ruck. And at least Gawn's a little bit more flexible. He's proven that he can go behind the ball and be that spare. And he's no slouch forward of the ball either. I think Melbourne won a grand final basically playing the two ruck system. It worked very well for St Kilda with a Ryder and Marshall 1-2 punch. I guess that's why they're chasing Tom so hard. So it's proven it can work, but you need two very specific type of ruckman. And with all due respect to Sean Darcy, who's a good footballer when he's at his best, a tall, lumbering, bulky, relatively immobile, good tap ruckman isn't probably that can work in that system.
Fair. Do you think Carlton need to find another ruckman if Tom de Koning leaves? Same. I thought you were going to say yes.
No. I mean, maybe his depth, but not starting.
You know what I would do?
Here we go.
If he leaves? In an ideal world, like...
Try and get Ron Marshall?
No, like a Zach Butters and a Sam Flanders. Spend the 1.7 on the two of them.
What?
I think Sam Flanders is someone that teams should start going after.
Maybe not. Yeah, with what money are we going to do it with, though?
Well, if de Koning leaves and we've got 1.x per year.
But that's not how it works.
No, I know.
we don't get how much money he's gone by.
I'm preparing for the copium if he leaves.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, is Peter going to be the best ruckman in the world? No. Is he this might be outrageous. Carlton can win a premiership with Mark Pittnett as a number one.
I agree. I am 100%
Absolutely
on the same page as you. I really am.
Well, yeah, like, obviously.
Wayne, that's the real story.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. You know what? I'm going to do a video on this topic. tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah. We're gonna do it.
That's what we need.
A video?
Yeah.
Or a Jack Silvani contract?
No, a video, because the world revolves around Terry Degani. So yeah.
No, as in, you know what? I've seen so much commentary around it. I asked Connor Rogers today, what would you offer him? If you were list manager, what would you offer Jack Silvani? In terms of length, how many years?
I'd offer him, he's 28 December. I will offer him 4 years at 700. The reason why I say 700 is it was brought up on the tradies and pod this morning, and they floated 858 for Jack, which I think is a bit steep. Sam McClure also said he's our most important player on the list, so I mean, take that for what it's worth. But you know, I might start a tradies companion pod. Do you want to do it with me?
No.
Why not?
Hell no.
Okay, that's fine. I'll do it by myself.
You should do it by yourself. You know what? Start doing tradies companion TikToks, send them in, and that's how you get in with the boys.
Yeah, the boys. Yeah, the boys.
I can't wait for you to get your opportunity to absolutely leave me.
Mate,
you would sell out. So, and fair enough as well.
No, come on. Sell out, you reckon?
Yeah, take the money, take the contract.
No, I'd have a buyback clause.
You'd always be welcome back, but I would be happy for you if you found bigger and better opportunities than the biased footy show on a Wednesday night.
You're so thoughtful.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, mate. What would you pay Jack money?
Can we get an update on the evolution of your background?
Oh, there's been absolutely zero movement.
Will there be movement?
If I can be bothered, yeah.
Well, as in, okay, can we spitball some ideas now? I really do think there's something about evolving the background as a representation of you evolving. 21 years old now, you know.
If someone is a interior designer in the comments, or Terry, if you know one, please get them in contact with me.
No, you just need to pick.
That also requires spending money.
You need to print off 10 A4 sized images.
Nah, because I won't do it like this style. I'll change it up a bit.
Why?
If I do it. No.
That is just such a. That's brilliant by you. You've just weaseled your way out of a responsibility for having to do some work.
Mate, how do you think I've survived for 21 years?
Oh dear, oh mate. I just think it's going to be good for you.
I'm very good at playing a straight bat.
Okay.
I talk enough, and people get lost in my words that they just forget what the whole point was of the conversation in the first place.
I don't. I bring you right back to where you need to be.
You do hold you're probably the person who holds me accountable the most, which I do appreciate.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Ari, you have a great night. Thanks for you know what? Thanks for being here. How about that?
Like it's not like an obligation.
No, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for making the time to be here with us tonight.
I love my week.
Me too.
Yeah, thanks for just lying in front of everyone.
Go Blues.